stay up later than I ever do and hang out with everybody. And most of the people that I knew were that way. I only mention that because, with all respect to the British Empire, and I understand any antipathy that we had towards the royal family wasn't just because to a lot of people that's a spiritual, religious thing from their culture. So they admired the king and queen and all the other offspring, even if we're against the welfare system as being deleterious to your health and the health of the country. Still, that's meaningful. So it wasn't being sort of not ageist but anti-establishment as much as just the fact that a lot of these people that we had and have, not just Woody Guthrie, but a whole bunch of other people, are our royalty, and not only in the arts, but in anything and everything, because there's such wonderful people with that graciousness. So I always tried to hang out with those who were more positive and gracious, scarcely an original thought. But Jack Kerouac was that way, and of course he got a lot of static for being that kind of person. But I just, at the very end of the second book, we didn't have a copy of the Upbeat, so I couldn't read the wonderful time I had at Rocky Road Tavern with someone who had his guitar in the truck and told me, come on and play with me. And I remember I had a kind of an Asian instrument. He said, "What the hell was that? Some kind of oboe or something?" And I said, "No, sir." I said, that's it, whatever it was. And he said, "Well," I said, "I don't know what you're doing, but I liked it." So I felt my approval. I said, "Woo." But Jack was that way too. We did the first jazz poetry readings. There was no such thing called jazz poetry, and also not a beat generation. That all came afterwards and formed a cottage industry for people that couldn't get a gig doing anything else. But anyway, this is just the last page of the book I wrote for Jack. And I'd just like to read a little section, and hopefully it'll encourage all of you for what you all are doing for your own mental survival and to feel good. Sometimes when I'm composing, I spend a whole day writing and rewriting one measure of music just to get it right. My orchestral scores are impeccable. Most of my commission, I usually use most of my commission money having the series of parts copied and recopied with every, it's a small print. Let me just put on my senior bopper reading glasses. Is anybody got it? I think I put them in here. There they are. Organization is the key to it. Thank you. I forgot. I usually just do stuff spontaneously, so I'm not used to reading. Oh yeah. I spent most of my commission money with scores and parts copied and recopied with every tiny nuance, tempo change, metronome marking, dynamic, and phrase clearly indicated. But the music, the breathing, living, human, mystical, mysterious part comes naturally. That naturalist is what Jack Kerouac and I strive for when we perform together. When we wrote alone, we created formal works, his books and my symphonies, inspired by the natural energy of these real-life experiences. When we performed together, we were celebrating the moment, dealing with the informal and daring to improvise like tightrope walkers. We wanted to create formal works built to last, that retained this same energy. That's what we were all about. That was the basis of our friendship and our work together. When I go to high schools, colleges, or any place where there are young people today, they all know who Jack Kerouac is. None of them now tell me he was the king of the beatniks. They tell me that they read his books. That's Jack's ultimate triumph. His work speaks for itself. until the very end, through all the pain and rejection, he continued to write. When I talked to him on the phone in those last sad months and late night, early morning phone calls, he still spoke of work he had to do and dreams he wished to fulfill. I feel blessed and lucky to still be here in my late 70s. That's my Lord. I try every day to share the joy of seeing even my own dreams in music finally coming true. I also try every day in some small way to share that gift of Jack's spirit, energy, and human kindness with everyone I meet. Jack's work can enable future generations to look back on the second half of the 20th century and see the beauty part. When Jack and I used to talk about his desire to find his lost Canadian Indian heritage, I remind him of the prayer, Navajo prayer of the 12th night, how the men and women prayed as they walked on the trail of beauty. I sang him some of the old songs I learned from Native American musicians like Floyd Redcore Westerman. Jack and I prayed in different languages, but the trail of beauty remains the same. Many of us walked and still walk that trail today. It is accessible to anyone and it is endless. If you stand tall as Jack did throughout his life and walk that trail of beauty, you'll surely meet him there someday.